Burma, or Myanmar, is surrounded by large and powerful neighbors to the north: India to the northwest, China to the northeast. Then there's Laos and Thailand, and there's a little bit of Bangladesh touches on the northwest corner. From Yangon, the old Rangoon, we flew to Bagan and then to Mandalay. From Mandalay we took the short flight to Inle Lake and eventually to the beach in Nagali. Following a couple of days of R&R, we came back to Yangon. The Air Mandalay flight left Rangoon before daybreak. We saw the sun rise from 20,000 feet and landed at the Bagan airport well before breakfast time. We stayed at the Orient Palace. It's a 5-star resort built adjacent to, well, really arguably within, the UNESCO World Heritage Archaeological Site. It was built by the so-called son-in-law of Burma's strongman, a man known generally as simply the General. There's a shortcut from the Orient Palace right into the main part of the archaeological site. The guide thought it would be a good idea to climb to the top of one of the temples just to get a feel for the enormity of the place. Of course, no one follows OSHA's 7-11 standard. That's a tread of 11 inches for a rise of 7 inches. But then, this place was built in the 11th century. Throughout most of Asia, it's respectful to take off your shoes before you go into a house, and so it is with temples. The guide and I climbed in bare feet, but Margaret stayed behind and talked to the would-be salespeople. There used to be well over 10,000 pagodas and stupas and temples in the valley. There are still over 2,000 in various states of repair. With a long lens, you can see Ananda Temple and also the That Benu, both of which we'll be exploring later. Meanwhile, the guide and I talked to the various students who had climbed to the top. He could tell them which was the highest pagoda, which was the oldest, which was the most ornate. He seemed to know the names of just about every one of them. Meanwhile, Margaret got to know the local residents. I'm not sure what ideas the guide had, but for us, having just had breakfast, what, 6, 7 hours ago, lunch seemed like a much better idea.
Yesterday,
Oh yeah.
that got canceled. So passionate about this. Oh, it's gorgeous. They just want to fly. They just have to fly now. Look at him. He's in there.
Are we off the ground?
So we've got a lot to live up to then, eh?
Qu'est-ce que...
It's going to do 180 degrees.
Yeah, Mike to Juliet, just be aware I'm timing.
Yeah, I got you, man, don't worry. Okay, come on, copy. At the download, ready to download. Okay, thank you.
Getting a video of that balloon taking over the other one and rising up.
So what do you...
Sticking us.
2 miles to our temple. That's where I went after this.
Okay. I'll do that. I have a card. Give me land, okay. Yeah.
Okay, well, I've got, we have pencil.
Largest passenger carrying airline in this country, Tube Bagan. Balloons are still registered as aircraft, and we fly more passengers on a yearly basis than any other airline.
I wonder if they're going to have a public offering.
Gav 1 over right to Diamond for Bagan Lodge. I'm going to be near Ian and Scotty if I can get in. Okay, last few pipe. Stay with you, who's in charge? Just going to go and do a little bit, a 2-second shot over here with this balloon, and then I'll be back with you, and we'll take you to the champagne area once I've set it up. Okay? So just give me one moment.
So
Josh, if we go now?
No, we have to wait.
Hey, Barry, look at me.
Okay.
Look at me.
So now you can come up. We are.
Why not? Get me getting a hug. Oh, look at that one.
Rather than drive around all these various temples and pagodas, we decided to take a horse and buggy ride. Much better idea. The Bagan, as it's usually called, is the largest of the Bagan tablets. It was built sometime in the 12th century. I forget by whom or for whom or, but the guy who did build it, I do remember, came to the throne by assassinating both his father and his elder brother. Many pagodas have been renovated recently. Funding has come particularly from the Nouveau Riche, from Burma and from the neighbouring countries. Others just languish, yet others have been and continue to be cannibalized. Of course, given a chance, the birds will find a use for any structure. This is no exception.
stop a minute?
Yeah. Okay, go. She's doing video.
Oh, the little goats. Oh, they're so cute. There's many. One more person. One more person. Lovely. She says the same thing you say to your horse. Ha, ha, ha. That's a big group.
We are coming up on the backside of the Amana Temple. It is the time for the Amana Fair, a euphemism for a month-long market, lunar month, that is. This is another 12th century structure, in this case commissioned by a king who had the 8 or so monks who were his architects assassinated. He didn't want anything else as beautiful built. I find there are few differences between these Burmese kings and the medieval kings and princes of Europe.
Oh, that's something over there.
I'm sorry, this
This is the
anywhere
back
is
of the
every
school.
time of Foscat is wrong.
Well, this is the most popular time, I'm sure, to be out here.
This is the back of the school here.
This is the back of the school and coming into the village.
A few decades ago, when the archaeological site was being developed as a tourist destination by the military government, the local people were removed and resettled in villages on the park's outskirts. That's where our horse and buggy driver lived. It's also where our guide had been born and went to school. Many of the wait staff at the hotel and the farmers herding the cattle likewise lived in these villages.
She has bye-bye. Don't get in my way, Barry.
You're going to go talk to me?
Okay, let him go. Let him go because I'm wanting to pee. Okay. Are you wanting to go? You may go.
The schedule called for us to go to the most popular pagoda and watch the sunset with the hordes of tourists. They cheer when the sun finally drops below the horizon. Nang Nang had a better idea. He knew of this little knoll where we could have a picnic and watch the sun set in private. One advantage of being the local village boy. Pakaku is across the Irrawaddy River. It's upstream. It's what Nang Nang calls a real market.
Now this is the wood that you use for doing the face painting.
He went on to say, you won't see another Westerner. And he was right.
If you're going to buy, everything is cheaper than our market. Everything is cheaper than our market. If we are going to buy, this market is more cheaper than our town. So our township is more.
areas around Bagan are known for their lacquerware. This Margaret knew and asked to see one of the high-end workshops. Apparently the area is also known for making shoes and slippers, and an ubiquitous local cigar. We saw all three.
Be easier if it's all on one video, huh? How long does it take
The whole day.
Whole day.
to get through the stove?
Yeah. That's good. Come like that.
Oh, so that one's the shiny one.
That's a smooth.
That's the good one?
That's the smooth. This is rough, no smooth.
Yeah.
This is smooth.
And this is the good one.
Yeah. After only like the 1 layer, 2 weeks, second layer, 2 weeks. So 14 layers.
14 layers.
Yeah, 1/4. So beginning to almost 6 months.
Really? Very pretty.
And
How long can they work at a time? 1 hour?
8 hours for 1 day. Yeah.
Coffee break?
Không giờ mà cái được nhau rồi. Không có về rồi. Không có về tuần nó đi được rồi.
Making lacquerware is a skill job. Making churros is not. Some of the people here are only about 10 years old. But, as the man said, they are allowed to sleep on the job. The shoeman and his wife started this business themselves and now employ about 20 people. He can do all the jobs himself and frequently does. He pays above average. That works out to be somewhat just above $4 per day. Yumen is a 13th century temple built into the sandstone. Even the Buddha is carved from the stone. It's about a 5-minute walk from the current banks of the Irrawaddy. Many niches for meditation and some 500 feet of labyrinth extend from the riverbank. There's also a couple of tunnels which are said to extend to local towns. As you drive along the road, you see many oxen. Generally, the kids walk to school, but sometimes they bring a horse. Here we met a couple, stopped to get a Coke, and had a conversation with them. The Irrawaddy is pretty low right now. It's down at least a couple of meters, 6 feet or so, over this past 2 months. The shifting sandbanks really prevent many boats from leaving port. These guys are measuring the depth. The river authority then uses these data to guide ships. Even so, several had gone aground. The captain does not have a depth sounder on this boat, but he said he wasn't worried. He knows the river. He and his buddy go up every day. In fact, they live on the boat.
In this area, no Islam.
It's hard to believe, but what we're looking at here is an island. It's really a glorified sandbank. Right now, the fishermen have their shacks here, but come 3 or 4 months from now, the whole island will be under about 6 feet of water. After the rain and the island floods, the fresh silt will replenish and refertilize the area, and new crops will be grown.